Behind Hollywood's glossy World War epics lie reels that studios quietly locked away, terrified their truths would scorch patriotic nostalgia. These 15 forgotten 60s war films dared to expose racism, profiteering, and moral collapse amid shrapnel and song. Tonight we shoulder a flickering projector, blow dust from celluloid wounds, and watch the stories moguls hoped would never march again publicly. Number 1. Hell to Eternity, 1960. From its first thunderclap of artillery, this biographical shockwave about Pima Marine, hero Ira Hayes never lets you breathe easily. Director Phil Carlson drags you from Arizona, deserts to the sulfur-soaked sands of Iwo Jima, forcing you to feel every sting of prejudice Hayes endured before he ever faced a Japanese rifle. Audiences in 1960 weren't prepared for a war picture that turned the barrel back on America's racism. So, studio marketers quietly starved its release, drowning it beneath syrupy flag wavers. Yet, the film's pulse, Guy Stockwell's hateful jeers, Tony Curtis's haunted eyes, and Vic Damone's aching farewell, beats harder than whole platoons of conventional hero epics. By framing heroism as an act of lonely endurance rather than chest-beating bravado, it exposed the uncomfortable truth that a man could win the war and still lose at home. Hollywood's safer narrative machine labeled it too bleak, buried the reels, and hoped we'd forget a Native American ever raised that flag. Number 2. The War Lover, 1962. High over England's fog-swallowed airstrips, Captain Buzz Rickson defies Luftwaffe fire and the morality of mortal men. Steve McQueen plays him like a live grenade rolling lazily across the B-17's bomb bay. Magnetic, terrifying, impossible to ignore. Where other war films painted pilots as shining knights, this one showed the intoxicating addiction of killing from the sky. Rickson isn't just brave, he's thrilled, and the movie's chilly honesty about wartime adrenaline panicked Columbia executives. They cut promotional budgets, whisper-screened it in second-run houses, and buried reviews that called it psychologically unpatriotic. Yet Robert Wagner's shell-shocked rival and Shirley Ann Field's doomed lover warn us that war's real casualty is the part of a man that once feared death. It ends not with triumph, but with an empty cockpit and a question Hollywood still hates. What if the hero loved the war more than the peace he fought for? Number 3. The Victors, 1963. Carl Foreman's globe-spanning dirge opens on Allied troops marching through freshly freed Italy, and closes with a Christmas crucifixion nobody saw coming. Between those bookends stretches a tapestry of frozen foxholes, shattered marriages, and dance hall euphoria that curdles into PTSD by dawn. Each vignette ends in moral collapse, suggesting victory itself is only another form of defeat. Columbia's executives recoiled. They hacked out an interracial love scene, sliced the crucifixion scream in half, and then buried the film in a December dump slot where holiday musicals buried it alive. Even truncated, George Peppard's hollow stare and Albert Finney's drunken outrage left early viewers shaken. But critics who praised its brutality were hushed by a studio, desperate to keep recruitment posters spotless. The Victors teaches that medals can't mend a soul split by orders, and Hollywood, terrified of Vietnam protests already brewing, shelved it so deeply that even its surviving prints feel like contraband. Number 4. King and Country, 1964. In Joseph Losey's mud-caked trench drama, Private Hamp staggers back from no man's land, haunted and broken, only to face a British court-martial for desertion. Tom Courtenay pours every quiver of shell shock into Hamp's trembling hands, while Dirk Bogart's Captain Hargreaves must sentence him to death to preserve discipline. No climactic raid, no enemy charge, just the grinding gears of a system that values protocol above a man's sanity. The film's relentless silence, pierced only by distant artillery, was a dagger to wartime myth-making. British censors balked, US distributors balked harder, and Columbia quietly slipped it into art house obscurity. Losey had already been blacklisted. Now he was telling Britain it executed its own heroes. Hollywood refused to bankroll a wide release, fearing audiences would equate Hamp's execution with the fate that might await disillusioned draftees in Southeast Asia. It remains an indictment written in mud and blood that studios wished would sink back into the trench it exposed. Number 5. Moratori, 1965. A Nazi cargo ship slogs through U-boat-infested night, and aboard her is Marlon Brando, an anti-war German coerced into sabotage by the Allies. Brando whispers German like poisoned honey, while Yul Brynner's iron-jawed captain radiates weary honor, two men waging a duel of conscience in the ship's dim corridors. Moratori refuses to grant easy heroes. Every loyalty shift feels like peeling skin from bone. 20th Century Fox panicked when early test audiences recoiled from Brando's pacifist spy and the film's merciless indictment of profit-hungry wartime shipping barons. Marketing was slashed, trailers vanished, and newspapers mysteriously lost their advanced screenings. At the height of Vietnam, a war picture implying all sides were morally compromised was a grenade studios refused to juggle. Moratori slipped beneath the waves on opening weekend, but its claustrophobic dread still seeps into every modern thriller that dares ask whether victory is worth the soul it costs. Number 6. Hell in the Pacific, 1968. Lee Marvin's bruised American pilot and Toshiro Mifune's wounded Japanese captain stalk each other like wounded panthers on a reef where crabs scuttle through spent cartridges. Each man draws a line in the sand, then erases it when thirst gnaws deeper than hate, constructing a fragile bamboo truce that feels more daring than any frontal assault. Director John Borman shot chronologically, letting real sunburn peel bravado from their shoulders until both titans resemble prisoners of an indifferent sea. When they discover a bomb-blackened supply dump, the war's cruelty explodes back into their fragile brotherhood, and their final, wordless decision lands like shrapnel in the viewer's heart. Exhibitors begged for swelling strings, or a closing speech about duty. Borman gave them only surf, silence, and a mushroom cloud of ambiguity. United Artists panicked, trimming reels and burying the film beneath John Wayne's chest-thumping epic. What remains is a salt-stained meditation on how survival can feel like defeat, and understanding can arrive too late to matter. Number 7. The Bridge at Remagen, 1969. Snow-numbed Allies and desperate Germans sprint toward the Rhine's last intact artery, but director John Guillermin refuses easy hero worship. George Siegel's weary lieutenant counts bodies instead of medals, wondering if one more dawn is worth one more coffin, while Robert Vaughn's cultured Nazi colonel poisons his own conscience to obey retreat orders that make no tactical sense. Filming inside Czechoslovakia collided with history when Warsaw Pact armor rolled over Prague, forcing cast and crew to flee like the refugees they were portraying. United Artists, terrified of diplomatic backlash, slashed advertising and dumped the premiere amid breezy summer musicals. Left in the cut is a mud-slick dispatch where strategies crumble, command structures lie, and the river becomes a mirror reflecting the war's rotting soul. Explosions clap like verdicts, the bridge groans like a cathedral under siege, and viewers exit haunted by the realization that sometimes victory is only the privilege of burying your own dead on the far bank. Number 8. Castle Keep, 1969. Sidney Pollack turns the Battle of the Bulge into a fever dream painted on snow. An oddball platoon barricades itself inside a medieval castle, bursting with priceless canvases. And Burt Lancaster's one-eyed major treats the war like curatorial triage. Which masterpieces live, which soldiers die. Private Rossi swaps foxhole tales for surrealist philosophy. A pigeon keeper falls in love with marble nudes, and tracer rounds slice stained glass into kaleidoscopes of bleeding light. Outside, German tanks rumble like mythic beasts, but inside, men debate whether saving beauty justifies murdering for it. Columbia banked on Dirty Dozen's swagger. Test audiences stumbled out whispering about existentialism and necrophilia. Ads were yanked, critics baffled, and Castle Keep slipped to late-night television exile. Re-examined today, the film glows like a ruined fresco, half destroyed, defiantly vivid, asking whether civilization can be preserved by men already willing to torch it. Each melting candle and splintered frame reminds us that culture and carnage share the same flickering fuse. Number 9. Lost Command, 1966. Anthony Quinn drags a disgraced French paratroop battalion from Dien Bien Phu into the insurgent arteries of Algiers, convinced another war can rinse away the last defeat's blood. Director Mark Robson laces street ambushes with flashbacks of Nazi camps, equating colonial brutality with the fascism France once fought. Alain Delon's hollow-eyed lieutenant sketches battle plans over cafe tables sticky with wine and guilt, while insurgent bombs echo across rooftops like unanswered prayers. Civilians vanish beneath bayonets and smoky stairwells, and the film whispers that occupation metastasizes into the occupier's soul. Columbia executives blanched when early reviews used the word torture without quotation marks. Marketing budgets vanished, and the release date was buried between sand and surf romances. Lost Command marched into bargain bin purgatory, its warning that endless occupation merely exports trauma still ringing louder than mortars. Watch it now, and feel today's headlines pulsing under every footfall on the Casbah's shattered stones. Number 10. Beach Red, 1967. Cornell Wilde's camera crashes ashore with Marines as mortar smoke curls like incense over Micronesian palms. Instead of linear heroics, jagged flashbacks ricochet from an American corporal's lemonade bright Sunday to a Japanese conscript's cherry blossom farewell, showing how memory keeps bleeding into the sand. Bayonet charges freeze frame into crimson watercolors, and the soundtrack dissolves into whispered prayers that never reach heaven. Executives at 20th Century Fox panicked when preview audiences staggered out, murmuring that both sides seemed achingly alike. They funneled ad dollars into flag-waving epics, yanked prints after a token run, and let Beach Red sink beneath tidier Pacific tales. Yet its empathic crossfire still washes up like shrapnel, daring anyone to measure victory by acreage of graves. Wilde's insistence that every corpse carries a diary, a dream, a lullaby makes the film feel more modern than ever. A tide-soaked reminder that war is a mirror broken on every shore it touches. Number 11. The Americanization of Emily, 1964. Lieutenant Commander Charlie Madison would rather barter champagne than storm Omaha, a cheerful coward thriving in London's velvet black market. War widow Emily Barham, numb from losing her family, finds his irreverence disarming. Together, they mock every sermon about noble death until High Command decrees the first American killed on D-Day must be a sailor, purely for newsreel glory. Charlie is drafted into heroism he never sought, a camera crew stalking every shaky footstep toward the surf. Bombs howl like studio klaxons. Medals are measured in advertising inches, and Emily watches the man she loves rebranded as inspirational meat. The plan implodes. Charlie survives yet is damned for refusing to die on cue, exposing the profiteers behind the flag. MGM panicked, trimmed marketing, and shelved wide release, claiming audiences weren't ready. Its satire frightened advertisers and mothers of America alike into stunned silence. Yet, cowardice becomes the film's bravest act, laughter slicing recruitment posters apart. Number 12. The Thin Red Line, 1964. Long before the title became an elegy, director Andrew Martin delivered James Jones's saga as stark monochrome terror. Guadalcanal offers no trumpets, only cicadas, sudden screams, and steam rising from corpses under monsoon rain. Privates Fife, Dahl, and Witt crawl feverish past skeletons draped in vines, wondering if the island itself wants them dead. An exhausted sergeant hisses that soldiers are spare parts to be expended, and close-ups linger on blank eyes that can't remember home. Composer Leonard Rosenman replaces victory marches with uneasy silence broken by machetes hacking at foliage, and sometimes at prisoners. Allied artists booked one Los Angeles theater, terrified the bleakness would repel patriotic crowds flocking to colorful escape pictures. Critics praise the honesty. The studio yanked ads and let the reels molder. Today the film whispers behind the better-known remake, challenging viewers to endure its rawness and recognize the thin red line as a vein of collective trauma. Number 13. The 317th Platoon, 1965. Pierre Schoendorfer, a survivor of Dien Bien Phu, hoisted a handheld camera into the Laotian highlands and filmed war as suffocating humidity. 19 French conscripts drag wounded comrades toward a phantom extraction zone, while Viet Minh bullets crack from bamboo shadows. Lieutenant Torrance parrots Academy slogans about empire. Battle-scarred Sergeant Wilsdorf counts bullets, leeches, and swollen feet. Knowing survival beats rhetoric every time. Rice paddies become graveyards, river crossings dissolve into panicked knife fights, and a broken radio spits static like distant applause from generals who will never arrive. When evac helicopters appear, they snatch officers first, proving hierarchy survives even where humanity dies. French censors loathed its admission that the Army's last stand in Indochina was exhaustion, not heroism, and American distributors feared the grim foreshadowing of Vietnam. Promotion evaporated, prints vanished outside art houses, and the picture became a whispered legend among soldiers. Today, restored negatives reveal leech-kissed skin and monsoon mist, with unnerving tactile clarity. Number 14, Play Dirty, 1969. Captain Douglas, played by Michael Caine, is ordered to destroy a German fuel dump in Libya, but headquarters secretly wants his motley commando unit annihilated, so a more photogenic regiment can claim the headlines. Director André de Toth bathes the dunes in shimmering mirage light, while men shoot prisoners, steal water, and debate whether honor is just sand sticking to blood. Caine mutters that he sells oil, not patriotism. Nigel Davenport's mercenary retorts that patriotism is the cheapest vice. Ambushes roar inside dust devils, and when the depot erupts, flaming gasoline paints the sky like a hellish aurora. The story ends on a gut-punch freeze frame that exposes every prior war epic as a glossy recruitment poster. Columbia released the film the same Christmas season as Patton and panicked at early walkouts. Reviewers called it cynical, un-Christmas. Ads were yanked, matinees dropped, and the picture vanished beneath tinsel, leaving scorch marks on those who witnessed it. Its nihilism presaged distrust before national headlines. Number 15. The Battle of Nareta, 1969. Yugoslav partisans blow the Nareta bridge to halt a German advance, then rebuild it under shell fire to guide thousands of wounded across a canyon choked with winter mist. Director Veliko Bulajic marshals 10,000 extras, real T-34 tanks, and a Bernard Herrmann score so thunderous smoke appears to vibrate. Yul Brynner's iron-jawed commander spars with Franco Nero's volatile engineer, while Orson Welles glides through as a duplicitous politician counting corpses like poker chips. Snowflakes land on still-open eyes, lovers kiss beneath collapsing trestles, and dynamite turns night into burning noon. Hollywood initially financed the international cut, but recoiled when Bulajic centered communist guerrillas as unambiguous heroes. Dialogue was recut, Tito references scrubbed, and Brynner's voice dubbed, yet Cold War exhibitors still smelled red propaganda. After a token two-city run, prints slid into storage. Restorations now reveal a monumental anti-fascist mural Hollywood tried, unsuccessfully, to paint over. Its colors refuse to fade. Celluloid ghosts roll back into their cans, but their echoes stay with us, nagging louder than studio drum beats. Remember these buried reels when glossy blockbusters salute war. Truth survives any cover-up, waiting in darkness to project its warning once more.